Good morning. We made it. Made it all the way to Thursday. Happy Thursday. We're going to go over a few numbers. I had a request to take a kind of a little mini dive into the city of Maricopa, so we're going to take a look at that this morning. Um, First, we had a federal judge rule that the moratorium on rental evictions has to stop, that the CDC does not have the authority to extend it under this administration. And the legal debate is really that it's kind of an overreach that a government agency can come in and supersede local and state regulations because states regulate, these rental moratoriums and evictions. And so, what gives the CDC the right to come in as a federal agency and jump on that? So that's a huge debate, and it's kind of surprising because Trump, being a real estate guy, is the guy that instituted this and let the CDC do it. And Trump was many things, but a constitutional scholar, I think not. Probably said, "Oh, it sounds like a good idea. Go ahead and do it." And then somebody later on had to say, "I think it's unconstitutional." So while all these debates are raging on about, can they do it? Can they extend it? Look, here's the bottom line. It's already the first week of May, and the extension was only to the end of June. So nothing's really going to get resolved by the time all these moratoriums expire. So the end of June is coming soon. And what's it going to mean? We don't know. They say there's 10 million people that are behind on rent. Are they all going to just get kicked out? It's going to be different in every state, every city across the country. So what are we going to look for? We're just going to watch the number of active listings. So if it has an effect, we're going to see it because right now we have 4,504 listings. So you and I are going to know if that's going to change or not. And we probably won't see any impact at all, if any, until about August. Because if you're evicting anybody in June, you're going to clean the place up, you're going to paint it and everything, and you're going to either put it on the market or put another renter in at the end of July. So if there is a spike in homes available because of the rent evictions, you're not going to see those numbers until August, in my humble opinion. So we had 4,366 homes come on the market in the past 7 days, of which 4,098 went under contract. So let's take a look at what that shows on my handy dandy little chart here. Take a look at that, folks. This is what we want to see. The blue line, which is number of active listings coming on, is larger than the yellow line, and that's what we want. We want that to continue. We want to continue to see listings come up, and it's going to be slow. It's like a little death march here. It's brutal. Here's what it looks like when you see the chart on the Cromford report. Little green line here is 2019, and then this one is 2020. So if you watch in March when we all got the stay at home, everybody, boom, the Cromford index went down. No new listings were coming on board. So things started to level out. And then lo and behold, in May, here we go. People start getting out and buying homes. The index starts climbing. This means it's in favor of sellers. It continues. The index goes all the way up to 514 in March. And now it's slowly coming down. So while we see glimmers of hope that listings are coming up, you can see that this is a long trip. How's my volume here? Turn it just a hair there. So it's a long trip to get where we need to be. Other news that's out there, as long as we're cruising the news, this is interesting. The CFPB, which is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, government's got more acronyms. They're the ones that protect you and make sure there's no mortgage fraud. And this was established after the crash in 2008 by the Dodd-Frank laws. But what they're saying is mortgage complaints have spiked. And moreover, what they're saying here is that many consumers have complained that servicers did not provide clear and accurate information about their options, especially regarding loss mitigation after forbearance ends. Forbearance is about to end, and they're going, what are my options? What's going to happen? Now, the CFPB issued this warning last month and said, look, guys, there's going to be a whole bunch of people wanting to come out of forbearance. You better be prepared, you better have the staff, and you better have the systems. Well, evidently, not a lot of people have that. Consumers also said the information they did receive was confusing and incomplete. The Bureau said servicers should use all available tools to reach struggling homeowners and do so in advance at the end of the forbearance period. They do not want to see people get foreclosed on or have to sell their home simply because the servicers are not prepared and giving them the information and the tools that they need. So complaints are up. Now, doesn't mean everybody's complaining. It doesn't mean it's a crisis yet, but it's on the radar and they're taking a hard look at that. So it's going to be interesting again to watch and see how that shakes out. I mean, when it comes to renters, they say that there's 10 million renters that are behind on rent. And we have, I think the number's 2.7% of all mortgages are in forbearance. And each month those kind of reset. As of yet, the end of March, we haven't seen homes hit the market because of that. So again, that's another number that we just keep watching. And and if it shows up, it's going to show up quickly on the chart. So if we end up with forbearances going up for sale, it may show up as new listings coming on board. But at the rate we're going, they're getting gobbled up so quick. I mean, when a new listing comes up and it's absorbed, it doesn't show up anywhere. So it's tough. So buzzing around this morning, I look at my hot sheet, and I've got several different neighborhoods based on interests and stuff with different buyers. And I ran across this cool one. I think it's kind of neat anyway. It's out at Sun City West, and it's a kind of a neat looking house. So what's the detail here? It's 2-bedroom, 3-bath. No, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Okay, bedrooms plus 5. But it's a nice looking piece of property. So it's $549,000 and got a virtual tour. So it's right on the golf course. But the interior is really nice, isn't it? Take a look at that. I was out looking at some homes with some people from Dallas this weekend, and we commented that we're happy to see that in some of the new builds that they're getting away from these gray tiles and white subway backdrops, because it's like everybody buys from Bob, the tile guy, and it's all the same color and same style. But anyway, I thought that one looked kind of interesting. Let's take a quick drive out to Maricopa. Here's how I look at active listings. 4,521. How about that? We went up 17 just while I was sitting here. That's pretty good. So let's go to Maricopa. Maricopa. I have to learn how to spell Maricopa first. There we go. And we look at the list of available homes. There are 77. Now, Maricopa, for those of you that may not know where it is south of Phoenix. Like Phoenix here, you go down this little road and there's Maricopa. It developed quite a bit during the run up before the crash 2008. In fact, I knew a lot of people were buying lots and turning around and selling them the same day. They're going in and taking over the contract, signing it, buying it, selling it the same day and making money. It was that frenzied down there. When it crashed hard. So we've got 77 homes for sale with a price from 145 on up to 599. And then what we looked at yesterday was he said, well, how many closed last month? So let's take a look at this. So we're going to change this to 1 month. See what that number is that comes up. It says here 199. Wow. There's 77 on, but over 30 days it closed 199. That means again that they're coming on. Sold, coming on, sold. Pretty brisk. Silver Rose Gaming's asking a question here. What's the best way to find short-term rental while waiting a couple months for a new build to complete? Boy, folks, that is the challenge that's out there right now. It depends on the neighborhood and the area. In some of the off-season, in the over 55 communities, there are opportunities to rent in there, and you literally have to go to the community, and sometimes they have a realtor right there that kind of handles long-term and short-term rentals there, and you can see if there's anything available in the season from January to March. November to April is the rental season. In over 55, the rent is nuts. It's really expensive. In some cases, like $3,500 a month. But in the summer, when nobody's here, you may be able to find short-term rentals. Zillow can be a good source for rentals because a lot of renters, and we're going to get back to Maricopa here in just a second, but a lot of renters just don't take the time to put it on the MLS because they really don't have to. The rental market is really strong. Um, but Zillow will have opportunities. Month to month is kind of tough. They're out there, but you'll pay for it. So it's really neighborhood by neighborhood. If you're in a community where where it's got a clubhouse, go in the clubhouse, see if there's anything on the wall. Airbnbs are way too expensive to do on a month to month. So I wish I had a quick and short answer for you, but it seems like every week somebody asks me this, and I really don't know how to make that any easier. If we look at some of these houses, so here's one here that is closed for $250,000. So let's see what the original asking price was. The original asking price was $264, and they got it for $250. Kudos, you did good. Let's go down farther here. Here's one for let's see, prices are considerably less down there, as you can tell. 265, and the commute coming up is brutal. There's only 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out, and so one of the reasons it's not as popular as it could be. Original asking price is $259. They got it for $265. There was no wild bidding wars there. If we get up to this one's $274, and I look at it, looks like it's a new build, so I'm not gonna see if there's any bidding wars on a new build. 280. Let's get up a little bit and see what's going on in the threes here, shall we? Here's one for 289. Looks like it's been redone, so let's take a peek here. 289.5, 289.5. How about that? Now there are some bidding wars down there. You can't get away from it, but it's because of the distance down here. People are not beating the living daylights out of each other. 315, 312. Opportunity for you if you want to go down to Maricopa. There's a chance there you can get into something under 300,000, under 400,000 without taking a baseball bat with you. The numbers that we're looking at for the rest of the week is, the unemployment numbers came out last week, or job growth numbers, and they were expecting 800,000 away. They got 740. People are saying they're disappointed. We're going to continue to watch that. Silver Rose Gaming, how far out is Maricopa? It's about half hour, 40 minutes from Chandler. Just drive south on that little road. It's the road where everybody goes to hook up with the Highway 8 to go to San Diego. And it used to be really hard to go down there because there's a train track. And when the trains are coming, you can't cross it. So they built a bridge over the train track finally. So it's back to being a good way to get to San Diego. Most of the homes are newer. One of the things that I did notice, though, was when they built them down there during the run-up, they didn't build them very well. So some of them that are built in the early 2002 to 2005 were slapped together pretty quick. So there's some, definitely want to get some of those in that year inspected quite with a lot of detail. So there's some problems. There's problems down there just because the construction wasn't great. So, but there are some new homes being built down there now that are fabulous, and it's a nice community, nice new stores, nice new restaurants, pretty slick. Interest rates right now are just staying level because there's not an overexuberance of good news. There isn't really any bad news going out there. So the bond market's kind of in a holding pattern, kind of waiting for a breakout. So are we going to see bonds go up? So if the stock market comes down and there's some trouble there and some of the employment numbers aren't improving, then the bond market's going to start coming up. Interest rates go down. Bad news means lower rates. Good news means higher rates. So everything's just kind of hanging in there right now while people wait to see that. And right now, the news that we see in interest rates, let's see if I can pull this up here for us. I looked at it. We looked at it yesterday. And I don't see much of a change. Nothing's going on there. So tomorrow, Friday, is when Pat and I get together and take a look and do a little bit of deep dive to see if there's anything different going on in the mortgage industry. I got what was called a Tidewater yesterday. I'm going to show and kind of explain what that means. I really don't want to put the actual numbers up here, but when you have a VA loan and the VA appraiser goes out and then it doesn't appraise at your contract price, they issue what's called a tidewater, which means it didn't appraise at that price. Now they could be off by $100. They don't tell us how far off they are. They just say, you have another opportunity to submit additional comps to justify your price. So they give us this sheet and we have to fill out all this detail. And we have to put down the subject property, comparable number 1, comparable number 2, and comparable number 3. Now, this is very fair. FHA doesn't do this. Some conventional will let you resubmit some comps. But in the meantime, by the time that guy did the appraisal, there were a couple more homes that sold that wouldn't have popped up as closed, because there's a huge difference between the offer price and the close price. For example, one of the comps that I pulled up hadn't closed at the time that the VA appraiser was out there, so he had no visibility for the actual sale price, but it was $615,000 was the sale price. Well, that's not going to help the offer price that we had. But then it closed, and it closed for $728,000. Well, now that's a big deal, and that's going to affect the offer price that we had. A couple more homes within a quarter of a mile did the same thing. They closed after the appraiser was out there. So we submitted, it goes back to the appraiser, and we come back and we wait. It's always nerve-wracking when you have a VA appraisal and they come back and go, Tidewater. And you go, well, how far off are we? Well, we don't know. So we go back, pull up the comps, send it in, and then you wait a couple days and you find out you're fine. If you have an appraisal gap in there at language where you're offering to cover the amount from your contract price to the list price, so if this number comes in somewhere in between that gives you some relief as far as the amount of money that you have to bring at the closing table. If it comes up to your contract price, you're going to be happy as a pig in slop, because now you don't have to come any additional money. So everybody's really kind of sitting around and waiting. I'm confident that this home is going to come above the asking price, and I think land somewhere in the middle, and I'll be really pleased if it goes all the way up to our contract price. So we'll watch, and I will let you know what's going on, and I'll have an interesting story for you. I went to Prescott yesterday to look at the trailer that I'm getting, and it's going to turn into quite a story. So I can't wait to share it with you. When I'm standing there at the counter, the lady standing behind the counter, she's looking at me. And then at one point she comes and she stands right in front of me while I'm having a conversation with another guy. And she's just kind of looking at me. And I was like, okay. And she goes, are you Rick McHone, the real estate agent? I said, yeah. I thought maybe she was a YouTuber. She goes, you sold my house on 16th Street in Phoenix a few years ago. I go, oh, what the heck are you doing in Prescott? So, but I just thought that was kind of funny. She's standing there kind of looking. So you never know when you're going to bump into old clients. So everybody take on the day, have a fabulous Thursday, and get ready for the weekend.